All right, what's up, guys? Evan Aldo here. If you enjoyed the content, smash the like button and check out the Aldo Empire VIP Discord down below. Want to get into Bitcoin, Ethereum, want to talk about the NASDAQ, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, what those are looking like right now. A lot of interesting things in the charts. So let's get right into it. So the first thing that I'm looking at on Bitcoin right now, essentially, is the 2-week. 2-week on the macro looks generally kind of bearish, similar to that correction that we saw in the pre-halving year of 2019. Also, the thing I'm looking at here too is you have the Heikin-Ashi candle on the 2-week, confirms in 3 days red. If it does confirm red, if we look at what's happened when here confirmed red, we jumped up a little bit more. Same thing is happening right now. A lot of times when it confirms red, like here, you do have a pretty decent kind of drop down. That was essentially the bottom in November, which was interesting. But historically, when you look at it, that was a big drop down. That was a big drop down. Doesn't happen every single time, but that's one sign here. Same thing kind of over here where it confirmed red. If we look at that trajectory, when it confirmed red right there, I'm not going to count the pandemic bottom, but that was a 40% drop down. If we want to kind of estimate where 40% would bring us from right here, that would be kind of your double bottom. I don't think you're going to go that low. My main guess is you could come back to kind of the low 20s, maybe like this, a less volatile kind of version of this. Also, what we want to look at here is back in 2015, this peaked out in July, and this was a 37% drop down. Now, if you do where we go from where you confirmed in the red there, that was a 26% drop down, confirmed in the red. So let's just look at that. If we do 26% down, that's what you're looking at. That would be right to your 300 weekly moving average. Look, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't predict the future. I can make educated guesses. If I had to guess, I think we're going to come back to a 300 weekly moving average. And I think when you get there, that's going to be kind of your higher low that we'll see for Bitcoin. And I think when you get there, low 20s is going to be your prime real estate opportunity to get into some altcoins, because that's probably when they'll be able to bottom out against Bitcoin, especially if we do see that sometime, in October, September, into the end of the year, potentially. I mean, if it's like this, it'll be quicker. It'll be nice. We could just, if you get some cash on the sidelines, like that's going to be really nice to get into altcoins. Obviously, not financial advice, but that's what I'm kind of looking at there, especially Ethereum, if that does kind of play out. Now, let's talk about more of the bullish case, because there's always going to be a bullish case too. You have a trigger wave, coming in and out on the 3-day here. This could be the case that people talk about, 34, 35K, 37K even. I don't think it's going to play out too well. It's looking more like the double top pattern will kind of play out here and bring us down, in my guess, but there's always that possibility. Also, when you get down to some of these lower time frames, you do have a trigger wave on the 12 hour. Let's go on a more marked up chart here. 12-hour kind of trigger wave. RSI is kind of coming down, so that makes me a bit more bearish for that reason. In the short term, your 6 hours coming back into the red. It looks like it wants to kind of, potentially do something like this where it comes deeper into the red. Look at that trajectory downward here. Let's just take a look at that. That brought you down quite a bit. If we do something like this, yeah, that's a drop down to 27 into next couple weeks. Potentially possible. And when you'll see what I show you on the NASDAQ in a little bit, it'll make more sense too. And then you got kind of choppy money flow in your 4-hour VWAP coming up. I'd say that's pretty neutral. 2-hour money flow, or hourly 2-hour money flow starting to kind of come down. You may get a bull div pretty soon here in the hourly, which may give you some relief off of this kind of spiral line here. Spiral line pockets are normally big places of support or resistance. So that jump up there, another jump up there, came back down. Maybe you see another jump up to 29.6 potentially. But when you look at kind of what I like for the short, for the short case, for the bear case, 45 minutes, some good curvature there, combined with that 12-hour trigger wave. That's what I really like for the bear case to potentially come down. So we'll see what happens here. Let's move on to Ethereum a little bit. So the first thing I'll show you is kind of that Wyckoff accumulation that we've kind of been in. Phase C is where you typically either make a lower low or you make kind of the same, bounce off of the same area. If I had to guess here, Bitcoin sees that 25% correction. Ethereum could see maybe 1200, 35, 10% more, a bit worse, but nothing too crazy. I think that's a decent possibility here, especially if we, if ETH bleeds another, 10, 20% against against Bitcoin, maybe down to this area. I think you're at least going to come down to at least down another 10% against Bitcoin here, probably at least another 12% down to kind of that area. It could get uglier. It could go down, a bit more down to, maybe 40% if things get really kind of hairy here and ETH goes down to 1,000. But I don't really see ETH going down that low. I think the real prime place to get into ETH here and start converting some Bitcoin over into ETH is potentially, kind of that 1,200 area. From a perspective, if you just look at, when ETH bottomed out against Bitcoin here, it was where did ETH versus, oh no, this is ETH. We got to look at ETH versus Bitcoin, excuse me. ETH, August of 2020, September of 2019. That was the area. So if history kind of repeats here, that's the good DCA point for Ethereum once you get into September. So if we look at Ethereum, on our chart here, what are we looking at? We're looking at the first thing I want to show you. Actually, let me show you it on the monthly here. You're seeing a red Heiken Ashi on the monthly, Now, last time that happened, that was a complete nightmare. I don't think it's going to be that bad. Here, it was kind of a fluke in July of 21. You just came up high. You made a higher high. But obviously, getting out at 2,800 was not the worst place. Let's be real. And the same thing kind of here. That was March of 2018 on the trajectory down. But if we look at the accumulation year, if we look at the pre-halvening year, look right here where it confirmed. You could confirm from the top there. You came down that kind of area. So that's a trajectory to make kind of a low, double bottom, come down more here. As time goes on, things get less volatile. So I think it may only be, 1,300. That's what I think it may only be. And kind of once once this confirmed here, once you got into October, and this red dot confirmed, which if we do see a drop down, and this, you may see this even confirmed this month or next month, that October area I think is going to be a really good place to get into Ethereum. Now let's look at more of the short term for Ethereum here, and we rejected off of this point of control pretty nicely here. And when I look at some of the lower time frames for ETH here, especially a lot of it's like Bitcoin, kind of neutral on some of these, but when I get to my curvature on the 2-hour blood diamond kind of trigger wave to the downside, I see a potential trajectory downward here on the 45-minute, potentially come down a bit more, especially if you lose that hourly volume area high here, 1842, potentially a trajectory down to 1825 here. Trigger wave may print on the 12-hour pretty soon here, so that's what I'm potentially looking at. Short term, I would say, is more bearish for Ethereum. Did have an ETH short in on FAIRDESK the other day. I locked in profits. That was a trade in the Aldo Empire VIP Discord. If you guys are interested in trading, if you're an experienced trader, PHEMEX is doing a good thing right now. If you have $10,000 worth of trading volume with some leverage, not that hard to get that high, but be careful. You can get their NFT, their Soul Pass, which NFTs are down so much, maybe a good opportunity. Check out the link below. If you guys are interested in that, first link below, pinned in the comments as well. For that, FAIRDESK is also really good. Both of those exchanges, you do not need to use a VPN, and no KYC is required. So those are really good. Get it while you still can. A lot of exchanges are getting stricter with the KYC, so be careful. And what we want to do is kind of let's just look at Bitcoin dominance a little bit. I do think this is going to continue to kind of come up here, even though it's coming down a little bit right now. I think we're going to ultimately, based on that 3-day kind of trigger wave, break up to potentially 55% come September, maybe October. That's the place to start getting into ETH and kind of altcoins, in my opinion. So, right now, most likely, we're going to see a pullback most likely. And then the real opportunity is, September, October, towards the end of the year. The 8-month DCA period is probably going to be from September to March, April for ETH and altcoins. So, yeah. And what I want to show you guys is kind of the NASDAQ. NASDAQ on the 2 weeks, so you're not seeing the Heiken Ashi candle turn red just yet, but it looks like you're kind of forming that double top pattern. Weekly Heiken Ashi is red. That's going to confirm in a day. So we'll keep an eye on this. We'll see what happens. This would make a lot, especially with this money flow coming out here, confirmed bear div money flow coming out in the 3-day. That doesn't happen too often, and it looks similar. See the bear div, money flow coming out in the 3-day here. You had a decent pullback. Same thing here, significant pullback. Even if it's just like that, you'd come back to 14.4, which is a decent possibility here. 2-week as well, money flow coming out, so that doesn't look too good. And if we look at some of the big market caps like Apple, fierce rejection off of $200, bearish div on the weekly. Your Heikin-Ashi confirms in a day for red. And if we look at the last time, most of the times your Heikin-Ashi confirms red, you do come down significantly. I know back here in 2020, 2021, not really, but look here, that was a pandemic. Look here, that was a 2018 correction. We had that situation kind of as well. I mean, if you were to do something like this, let's just see where that would bring us to. I mean, that's a decent correction there. What's the percentage on that? 40%. So that was a 40% correction for Apple. I mean, it is known for that. It is known for that. Maybe make a kind of a lower low here into the end of this year. And that's typically what we see in traditional markets in pre-election years and early election years. You do see significant corrections in traditional markets. I know all the money printed, I don't think it's going to go down probably much lower than 117. It doesn't look like that'll happen, but that's decent trajectory. Tesla as well with the 2-week. This doesn't look good on the 2-week at all. 2-week Heikin-Ashi is going to confirm in a day, red. That's what we'll keep in mind. Microsoft looks pretty similar to Apple here. Nice bear div that's confirmed, and the Heikin-Ashi confirms red in a day. So likely could bring us down a decent amount here. Maybe something like one of like that correction, or maybe obviously like this one, a repeat of that potentially to come down. Let's see where that would bring us to. Yeah, back down to those areas potentially, and then you kind of recover from there. So that's that possibility. That's pretty much all I got right now, guys, for the market. Hope you enjoyed the update. Check out the link down below for FAIRDESK. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to learn more about TA, more of my strategies, all that, check out my trading course down below as well on evanaldo.com. Discount code down below as well. All right, guys, have a good one.